Why would you do that? Why would you undercut yourself in your pricing and your positioning like this? If you're looking for an example of things to do in sales that you want to avoid, watch this. This is Jason Kanigan, president of Sales on Fire, and a few weeks ago I stumbled across an auction network on TV, cable, late at night, just before I was about to go to bed, and I had a few good laughs because of what they were doing and how they were really shooting themselves in the foot from a sales and marketing perspective, and it was costing them money. And I tuned in consecutively and over the next few nights to watch it again, and I kept seeing the same stuff happening regardless of who was hosting the thing, and it was just pretty funny. So I asked in Facebook, do you want me to make a video about this? And a few people said yes, so here it is. This is what to do to avoid being typecast as the lowest common denominator like these guys are doing to themselves. All right, so what they would do is, I'm sure they're getting this stuff for next to nothing. You know, they're a clearing warehouse, and they buy stuff from businesses that are going out of sale. So Oriental rug shops that are going out of business, they'll grab the whole lot. All right, they won't buy each individual rug one at a time. They buy the whole thing for X thousands of dollars, and it's just a clear out, just to get the hell out of there as far as the store owner is concerned. So they've really paid literally pennies on the, not on the dollar, but on the tens or hundreds of dollars here. Okay, so they can probably afford to give this stuff away, pretty much. But here's the strange thing. Since I started watching, in between then and now, they've gone off the air. There's an image saying, oh, this station's having technical difficulties and we're trying to resolve it. Well, it's been 2 weeks, at least. Come on. You know, this is not a technical problem. This is a money problem. And given the fairly low cost of renting time on channels, I'm figuring it's because these guys didn't do very well with their selling. You can go on their website and watch them. It's just as fun an experience. But they're not on the air right now. Very, very curious, at least in my area. Maybe they are elsewhere. So what they would do, let's say they've got an Oriental rug and they want to sell this thing. So they'll have this auctioneer come on, and he'll start talking about the rug and its colors and all that stuff. And then they'll say it's worth X. Okay, so $18,000, let's say. All right. Then they'll bring out a certificate from the now defunct store with a nice seal on it saying this rug's worth $18,000. Because why? Okay, because why? We said so? The store that's out of business certifies it to be worth this? Nah. Doesn't cut it for me. Maybe it does for the average viewer who doesn't frickin' think. All right, so there we go. Okay, we're trying to set the bar way up here. Okay, that's fine. Then they'll say, all right, let's put a clock up on the screen, and they'll put a 60-second countdown timer up there, and that'll tick down, and they'll have a BIN, a buy it now price. It'll say bin, and then underneath that there'll be a price tag, and they'll say, let's start off at $2,000. Okay, so already we've gone from 18,000 to 2,000. There ain't much room left down here, is there? All right, and the 60-second timer is on. And the first time I watched this, I thought, well, that's interesting. But after the 10th time of seeing this little game repeated, I realized all they were doing was teaching their audience to not buy during this period. I don't know why anyone would buy. You'd have to be an idiot and show up at that channel right at that moment and want that exact rug and not know what they were doing and not sit there and wait to see how they did it and just jump in there. And that didn't happen. Just saying, that didn't happen. All right, so the 60-second countdown timer would expire. The guy would keep yapping even after the timer expired. So there was no bottom line as far as the countdown timer went. There was no penalty for you not buying, okay, during that period. The price didn't go up now. Price went down. Then the guy would say something like, well, let's start off at $500 then. $18,000, $2,500. You have lost all credibility with me. Like, I will never buy anything from this auction shop. Now, here's the funny thing. They have got costs there, right? I know just from watching that there's 5 guys in that studio at least. Okay, there's the guy who owns the thing and is running it, so the producer. There's the auctioneer guy who's like the host, there's at least 2 guys on the phone, and then there's a schlepper who picks stuff up and carries it around, you know, at least, right? So all those guys cost money, plus the airtime costs money. So I don't know, maybe those guys are only earning 20 bucks an hour or something like that, you know? I'm sure the auctioneer is making a percentage off of what they sell, but it ain't much, and he's doing himself a real disservice by undercutting himself like this and trying to use these sort of cheating tools to create a sense of excitement and anxiety and time expiring and that, but then there's no penalty, there's no follow-up on that, so they're meaningless, they are without value. He's misusing the tools. One thing they did do that was good was the host would get this like pointer, a long extendable pointer, and he would walk around the rug, and we would call it walking the rug, and they might have a couple of guys come out there and do this too, and they would look for problems, you know. So if it was a used rug that they'd somehow gotten their hands on, there might be they have makeup on one, for example, it looked like. All right, or there might be a little hole in it somewhere or something, and he would point that out, and he would make it like he was doing this great service to humanity by pointing these issues out. But the fact of the matter is, what he's doing is he's making sure there's no returns, right? He's just telling you about it so that you don't get the thing and go, wait a minute, I thought this thing was perfect for 500 bucks, let me send it back. So there was a real problem here in the process of how these guys are running their sales and marketing, right? From a positioning standpoint, it's awful. Once you've watched the show a few times, you know, why the hell should I call in and buy it at the bin price, the buy it now price? That's stupid. That's at least at double, maybe even 10 times what they actually expect to get out of it, all right? And then they drop it down to this extremely low price. And here's the weird thing about cable TV auctions. Like, you don't know who's on, right? You don't know how many people are watching. You might get some sense of numbers from your cable provider, but maybe, I don't know. I know I had to fight for digital information, digital statistics from our TV station when we ran a TV show. It was hard to get. They didn't want to give you that stuff. So maybe they have a deal, maybe they know, but really, what is the socioeconomic profile? What are the demographics of the people who are watching this thing, right? Are they people who could afford the $5,000 on the $18,000 or the $2,000 on the $18,000 item? And you just, you know, kissed away 1,500 bucks by dropping your price to 1,500, right? There seemed to be no understanding of who was watching. And that was a real problem, because if you don't understand your target market, your audience, and this is a live television thing, what chance of success have you got? It's just random, isn't it? You know, it's like, wow, so we got lucky tonight, right? I mean, the first night I watched, the guy didn't make any sales for half an hour. He kept rolling stuff out. It was artwork. And he'd talk a little bit about it, and he'd do the 60-second countdown thing, and then he'd have a really cheap price, and nobody wanted it. There were no calls in. Later nights when I watched, when there were call-ins, like for the rugs, you would get a couple bidders on that. The guys manning the phones would literally shout, like, I got one, you know, there's a bidder for 500, you know, or something like that, right? And I don't know if that was supposed to add excitement to the show, but it, again, dramatically impacted the sense of professionalism in a negative way, right? It just seemed like this, I don't know, country farm thing or something. It just did not come across well. Right, and it's like you're giving signals that are not supporting the idea of this being a medium ticket operation, not even a high ticket operation, a medium ticket operation. I mean, I totally get the idea of saying, hey, we get you high ticket, high quality items and give it to you at bargain prices. Okay, but let me tell you something, $5,000 on an $18,000 rug is still a bargain. You don't need to go to $500. You're killing yourself. You got no margins, nobody makes any money. Like I told you, there's the 5 guys in the studio at least, right? Somebody's running the camera too. I know because I watched a bunch of them come out and start exploring this rug that the producer had decided wasn't graded all that well because it was 100 years old, and yet everybody was crawling all over this thing going, well, what the hell's the problem with it? There is no problem with it, right? So I saw them, and there's a guy running the camera, at least one guy running one camera. And that started to get hokey too in cases. They would have somebody pull down a piece of artwork off an easel and replace it with a new one? Why don't you just have two cameras and then another easel over there, and you just go over to the second camera? I mean, it was weird. And they also had this second host on the art show that was this really old guy, and in his hoarse old man voice he would make these strange comments that did not help selling at all. And I'm like, wow, you must have been doing this for like 50 years and you still don't know what you're doing. It was literally an astounding lesson in how not to do this stuff. All right, so what are the lessons that you can take away from this auction show of horrors? Position yourself correctly. Know your target market. Know your audience. Okay, or whatever field you're in, and whatever media you interact with them on, know them. Know what they consider to be a bargain, and understand that. Okay, these guys clearly did not, and they were underselling themselves, and they were earning like a quarter as much money as they could have been. I mean, I could have gone on there and made them a hell of a lot more money, and it would have been a lot more relaxed and fun, I'm sure, for everybody. But again, I still don't know who's tuning in and how many, right? If there's 5 people watching, well, there's not much of a chance, you know? So, it might not be a game I really want to play, you know? But know your target audience, know what they consider to be a bargain, and price accordingly. I mean, a price to cover your costs at least, right? Because these guys didn't really look like they were doing so. Yeah, they still have an internet show. Wow, how hard is it to do that? I could do that. I got cameras. I can hook up a feed 24/7 to the internet, and we could have a site where Jason sells stuff as long as there's a host to talk about it, and even then we could probably record stuff and automate some call-ins and stuff like that. And then create the right environment. You know, make sure you create the right buying environment that sends the correct signals that, yeah, this isn't a shady operation. This is a good thing. This is a quality thing. This is a safe choice that you're being a part of. These guys were not doing that. So I hope you enjoyed this. It was just a chance to share something that I found really funny that I stumbled across. And I hope they come back on, because I look forward to watching them and pointing out some other things that they're goofing up on that are costing them a lot of money. This is Jason Kanigan from Sales on Fire. Thanks for watching.